I know that no parent wants their child falling behind in school, which is why parents who can afford it pay for after-school tutoring. But that one-on-one care often isn't an option for students of low-income families. And the cost of not getting one-on-one help can be steep.
So fiction books, do they tell a story or do they tell you facts?
Tell you a story.
Yes.
The purpose of tutoring is to provide students with custom academic help that focuses on problem areas. When a student falls behind in a core subject like math, they often have no way of catching up until they get that custom tutoring. Because math is a cumulative subject, meaning it builds upon itself. And with every year a student falls behind, it gets harder and harder to catch up. Ever noticed that there are good schools and bad schools? Those phrases are so common, we don't even question why. It's such a normal part of life. And as parents, we choose where we want to live based on where the good school districts are. The U.S. educational system is one of the most unequal in the industrialized world. It's not just about income level. This is, unfortunately, about race. What I'm about to explain is very sensitive, and I don't want to say this in an absolute way. However, it is a reality that is a large part of why OEF is such an important and special program, because it gives every child access to the same high-quality education, no matter where they live. Okay, check this out. Generally, poor white students are not living in neighborhoods of concentrated poverty. Starting in the 40s, white families were purposely moved to suburban neighborhoods. The government actually helped white families move to the suburbs by giving them low-interest mortgages. As a result of discriminatory housing policies, people of color were left out of the new suburban communities and pushed into urban housing projects.
His name is Corbett Rochelle. Since last July, he and his wife Sally have visited many real estate offices like this one.
Well, I have to call him and tell him that, that you are colored.
So what do you have that you can show me today?
Nothing in this price range. Nothing at all.
The justification was that if African Americans bought homes in or even near the suburbs, the property value of the homes would decline. Which wasn't true, by the way, but that's another story. This isn't something that accidentally happened. It was policy, and not just in the South, but across the entire United States. A state-sponsored system of segregation. These policies have had a lasting effect on American society.
I've wondered often as I've gone from one real estate agency to the other, if people realize the many embarrassing situations and questions that you have to go through as a Negro, sometimes even humiliating.
So what ended up happening as a result is the percentage of minority students going to hyper-segregated schools has nearly tripled since 1988, because we have children of white families attending schools in the suburbs and children of Black and brown minorities attending schools in the outskirts. The inequality between schools in these districts is obvious. The mostly white suburban schools are given more care and objectively provide a higher quality education. These are the schools that attract some of the nation's best educators, while schools serving majority Black and brown students are given significantly fewer resources, including courses, curriculum materials, equipment. They're much less likely to offer advanced and college prep courses, and even experienced educators. We've heard these types of things so much that many of us are desensitized to the reality, but this bias is so clear that these schools are given less resources than the others in the same district. This is no accident. Millions of Black and Latino kids will go through a public education system that does not give them the best of what America has to offer. And they are less likely to go to college and earn an average of 25% less over their lifetimes. Okay, so you might be thinking, why don't people who live in these areas with bad schools just move? This is a real problem that's unique and layered. The housing policies that prohibited African Americans from buying homes in the suburbs in the 40s, 50s, and 60s really set African American families behind when it comes to building generational wealth. If you don't own a home, you don't have equity in a home that might increase over time.
And there is no one factor more representative of or more conducive to the economic well-being of the American citizen than the home in which he lives.
If you don't have equity in something that can increase over time, and your white counterparts do, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, that theme continues to affect your life and the lives of your children and your grandchildren. It's like starting a race with some people getting a head start. Most middle-class families in the U.S. gain their wealth from the equity they have in their
The home
homes.
they've always dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made. At last, the Bryants have all the space they need.
This factor cannot be understated. That's where it comes from. There is so much more to the history that explains educational equality, so much more. But just know that where you live is the #1 contributor. With so many passionate, brilliant educators, why aren't these minority prominent schools better staffed to provide a high quality education? And the truth is, the realities of many minority schools can beat down the spirit of even the most passionate educators. Teacher turnover rate in our underserved schools is sky high, with an average of 20% of faculty leaving each year, leaving students behind that are being educated by fresh, inexperienced teachers. These are the students who are desperately in need of high quality educators. If a student who attends one of these schools can't read on grade level by 3rd grade, he or she is 13 times less likely to graduate high school from something they struggled with in 3rd grade. Can you imagine? The problem is it's increasingly hard to find qualified teachers who are willing to work in the schools that are difficult to teach. Because these schools are underfunded, teachers often have to pay out of their own pockets for books and supplies. That's what's brilliant about OEF. Every student everywhere is getting the best America has to give, the best. When we understand our history, we can solve these problems. We have the tools we need. Using the amazing capabilities of video streaming technology, OEF tutoring allows all students across state lines to have access to the best of America's educators. OEF is building a national community while bridging socioeconomic and racial divisions. This will fundamentally change the way we see and deliver education. Tutoring can help strengthen subject comprehension, boost confidence, and build important learning skills. OEF tutoring helps students at all levels by lowering the barrier to entry. Tutoring takes place at home. No need for parents to drive their kids, taking more time off work. The video stream is available to thousands of students at a time, but unlike in a real-life session, the student-to-tutor ratio does not water down the quality. There's so much more we will get into in the next coming weeks, and we thank you for tuning in.